And energy update. Just sharing this with my Facebook group. All right, guys, this is an energy reading for October 2020. A lot of energy readings out there are from non-melanated people, and there is a distinct difference in their guidance versus ours. And so I have an October 2020 energy reading. I'm going to start doing this because I think it's important to see a different perspective. A lot of the archangels, a lot of the different beings that people channel in the higher realms, you got to understand they all have a different twinge to them. So when you have people who are religious and they get guidance from God, it's very much the religion. When you get people who are the angels are great, but they have not had an earthly experience. Not a lot of them, maybe a couple of them. And so sometimes their guidance and their energy update it's accurate, but it just has a different tinge. And I tend to find that my ancestors, now these are my ancestral, my spirit team from the realms, they just tend to give practical advice and practical information. And I think it's just time for people, hey guys, hey Glow Paris, hey I do this. It's time for melanated people who do have the ability to talk and channel their ancestors to give our guidance, because I channel both the angels and my ancestors back to back. And they're both right, but it's a different type of advice. Earthly experience versus non-earthly experience does indicate the type of advice you get. And I find that even though I love my archangels, my ancestors, they give it to you the way it needs to be. So I just wanted to explain what I find the differences to be. Just remember, there's people who channel galactic beings. There are people who do all sorts of stuff. But we just need to understand that when they're like, oh, I channel Palladians and I channel Sirius, they all have an agenda, right? And honestly, I'm just going to say, if you're not melanated, I don't know what the agenda is. Because if you're not talking about melanin, you're not talking about the truth, right? And I went over that in my YouTube video about how having melanin is the key difference between being able to go to heaven or the cosmos, as a Shira Star Goddess would say, versus not. And if they're not talking about it, I'm suspect on why they're not mentioning it, right? Like, what is your agenda? So I'm just going to give it to the ancestors. I feel if you're a black person in spirituality, our ancestors or one of our ancestors, your ancestors will be different than mine. But I'm just going to tell you, my ancestors are very practical. They're very grounded. They are warriors. So there's a little bit more fight and kick to what my ancestral guidance is. They're also very, very good at manifesting. Extremely good. And I got that as well. I mean, just walking around like Merlins. Okay, so that's the angle in which they give me the advice. So this is the October 2020 energy reading as channeled from my ancestors. Might be different from yours, but I did do it for the collective. So October 2020 is going to throw a lot of things at you. And this is the time my ancestors said the guidance is to focus on your inner journey because you're going to need it. It is time to level up your spiritual practice because you're going to need it. It's going to be time for you to be able to go inside. So when life throws these crazy things at you, COVID, lockdown, this or that, when all these things get thrown at you, you're going to be able to handle it because you started doing the work to do it. So this is a time, if you're deep in your practice like me, where I spend anywhere from just straight meditation or spirituality or healing. I'm an angelic healer. I'm a Christ anointed healer. Just healing myself or of different things, be it emotional, a spiritual. That's like an hour a day, let alone throughout the day, me constantly engaging all of my ancestors or my spirit guides or my angels or my guardian angels or Jesus or God. I mean, I'm in contact with them all day. I'm like, can you help me with this? God, Jesus, like, who's going to help me? I'm constantly developing this very strong connection. But if you're just beginning out, this is the time and this is the month to start that moment of having that 2 or 3 minute meditation if that's all you can do. Because what is being thrown at us, which you've already sort of can sense on an intuitive level if you haven't realized through this ascension process, they are throwing everything they can at us. And it's not necessarily going to get that bad if we stay centered and grounded. At the end of the day, we all can create and manifest our world. We all came down here on this planet in this lifetime, all of us, to help this planet ascend. And we can do that by us evolving in our spiritual growth and practice. That raises the vibration. So right now, the vibration of the earth is rising. It was planned. It's always been that way. I knew this was going to happen 2 years ago. Some people knew 4 years ago, right? That was always going to happen. But we actually came down here to help. And we do that through our own spiritual evolution. A lot of people have been so distracted and blinded by government, by the 9 to 5, by kids, by distractions, by buying shiny toys, by debt, that they haven't been able to develop that practice. But I'm not saying time is up. I'm saying time is right now to really start, because it's not going to get easier with everything that's going on. At the end of the day, with this rising vibration of the planet, there are a lot of entities who want to keep this vibration low. They want to keep us distracted. They want to keep us working for them, not necessarily being happy, disconnected from source, not having the time to go in. They want us to not do this because then they win. Then they keep us working. Then they keep us on that hamster wheel. Then we don't find out that we don't need any of what they're telling us that we need. We don't need that government system. We don't need the city council, because we can create our own life, our own world, just because we are a spark of God and we're divine. And so because of that, it is so important right now that you develop it, because those same beings who know that the frequency of the earth is rising, and you can check out my video YouTube channel, Soul Full of Healing, because I'm a healer, so really it's just all about healing emotionally, spiritually, and whatnot. The ascension process is taking place, and they're like, no, because if the frequency of this planet rises and we all find out how powerful we really are, we're walking around like we're walking divinity, like we're walking divine, like we deserve. And yes, I deserve to be happy. And no, you can't tell me what, no, this isn't all my life is about. If we walked around like this, they know time's up. They have nothing. So they're going to throw so much at us to keep us in fear and doubt and pain. And with the rising frequency, and there's a lot of light beings, light workers, spiritual warriors like myself. Some are actively combating it, and some like me are just making sure that we know how to keep our high vibration and maintain our balance. We're doing the work, right? But it's going to be so important for the collective now more than any other time to start even the little baby steps, not in some hack job. It doesn't have to be big, right? But it is time for you to start. So if you thought, I wanted to meditate, if you thought, I wanted to do yoga, if you thought, I wanted to go to church, this is the time to do it. It really is. Because at the end of the day, what you get when you go in, either at church or this or that, you get a sense of centeredness, you get a sense of self, you get a sense of, it doesn't matter what's going on around me. I'm just responsible for my own life. I'm responsible for my own happiness. And I'm not going to let somebody get me to be fearful. I'm not going to let someone do this, because you start tapping into not only how much support you have on the spirit realm, be it through God and Jesus, through religion, universe, if you're more spiritual, archangels, spirit guides, dragon guides, you name it. Like, they're all out there, regardless of how you want to do it. It's going to get you to a place where when they throw the fear at you, you're not worried. When they say mandatory vaccines, you're like, I don't care what you try to mandate. God's not going to let them give me any vaccine. I don't care how mandatory you make it. When you get to the level that I get to, which we all need to be, where it doesn't matter what they try to throw at us, because we're like, my spirit guides aren't going to let this happen. My ancestors won't let you get that close. I don't care what you say I have to do. If I want to go out for a walk and you say I can't, I'm going to go for a walk. When you get to that level of spiritual attainment and they can't control you, that's when we won. Like, that's when we win. That's when the earth wins. That is when they lose, game over. We know how strong and powerful we are, and they cannot control us any longer. So that is the guidance from my ancestors. If you have ancestors and you've done the spiritual practice so you can channel, please come and share. I really want to hear melanated people I want to hear priestesses. I want to hear black women and black men talk about what they hear, because I find that our advice is a little bit more grounded, a little bit more practical. Like, look, you need to do this. And that's the kind of energy we need versus just, stay one and stay centered. We just need those practical steps. So I will leave you guys on that. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm also on these channels and my YouTube channel going to start doing a weekly reading for my ancestors. If you guys know anyone else who does this, I'd love to hear what they have to say. I just know that the advice from my ancestors is 100% on point, not just for me, but if they say the collective it's time to do this, they don't sugarcoat it. They just say exactly what you need to do. And if you are someone who is into energy readings and you're already on that path, you should be able to recognize and resonate with the message and understand that it's time. Either you're already there, or you understand that if you're not, that maybe I can take those baby steps. Okay, so thank you guys all for watching, and I am going to go now. So I'm doing this on multiple phones. Okay. All right, guys. This is an energy reading for okay. And I'm going to get off of Periscope. Okay, I didn't get to Periscope.